Hello, this is a video for the little mini lesson called Gradation Mountains. When I was looking through your projects you guys submitted, this preliminary assignment, what I saw most of is like a lot of students struggling with the idea of gradation. A lot of you guys really did well in terms of producing different values, starting to create a good three-dimensional space, but the gradation was what was really lacking. So I thought this activity would be good for us. We're going to work with gradation, but also show you a couple extra little strategies that might help you along in terms of completing your actual project, okay? So these three are already done. I'm going to work on this fourth one right here. First, let's go ahead and set up the paper. And as you kind of noticed before, we're not taking up the whole entire paper. We're, kind of a smaller section. If you do the whole entire paper, you're going to be spending the entire period doing this activity. It takes quite a while to get high quality gradation. So keep it smaller. That way you're not spending 50 minutes doing this. Okay. So just the basic mountains. So doing the best job you can. Mountains sort of have a more organic form. They're triangular, but they're not like true triangles. They have like jagged edges in certain places. We're not too worried about drawing the most realistic mountains ever, but just something that's going to be identifiable as a mountain, okay? So we're going to do 4 of those. A lot of mountains have overlapping in them, so maybe there's a smaller mountain happening here, and maybe another mountain that's sort of overlapping into this one, something like that, okay? If yours don't look exactly like mine, it's not a huge ordeal. Just do the best job you can, and we'll go from there, okay? So that's like the basic drawing of it. So draw something very similarly on your paper. And then moving on, so like I said before, I've already sort of completed the first 3. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate just kind of a good strategy of sort of how to go along and add in this gradation, okay? So as we did a lot of in our value handouts, we kind of start with the lightest value and kind of give ourselves a base. And for me, I kind of experiment with different sort of strategies with these. And I kind of found that this sort of diagonal sort of value works really well because you can go cross diagonally and you're going to be able to pick up the value a lot faster than versus us just going straight up like this. Also, I have more control. Now, I hold my pencil like this because it's just I have more lead hitting the paper at the same time versus doing this. You're getting a very fine pointed lead. So holding it from this side will definitely give you an advantage doing that, okay? I actually forgot one thing, so let's back up. I apologize for that. So in your mountainscape, we are going to have a light source, okay? So we're just going to draw a sun sort of up overhead on our right-hand side here. And the sun's going to be sort of swirling out like this if you want. Kind of get the indication that there's like a light source there, okay? So I did forget that part, but we're going to be okay. All right, so I got my base done. I'm kind of leaving the very far right-hand side pretty much free of value. I'll show you how to add highlights here in a minute, but I'm still going all the way up to the edge, even though there's going to be some highlights in there, but we have a different kind of strategy we're going to use to sort of produce those, okay? Now, I already have my diagonal lines going this direction. So if I start going the opposite direction, it's going to pull more value a lot faster, okay? So my gradation is happening on the left-hand side. As you can see on these ones, it's starting out darker, it's receiving the most shadow. And as it goes towards the right-hand side, it's getting less and less and less, okay? So I know for a fact that I can add darker value on the left-hand side here, so I can start doing that. And I'm just overlapping here, kind of getting a darker value as I go. Once again, you don't want to go like full throttle and just start like barreling in a lot of graphite all at once. You want to kind of let this thing build up a little bit. And as I go, I start using less pressure as I'm going more towards my right. But generally, if you keep working back into it, it's like a constant sort of approach where you're sort of coming here and sort of flowing that value in. Okay, so now we can kind of see we're starting to get some nice gradation. There's definitely a darker area kind of seamlessly flowing into a lighter area. Once again, as I was drawing, I had more pressure on the pencil on the right-hand side, and I was sort of just kind of flicking the pencil as it got lighter, so it's kind of barely touching the surface, okay? So we're going to go ahead and look at two different strategies to sort of help with your blending process. So one is, like I kind of showed you in class before, like using that eraser as one of your tools. And even kind of coming in and sort of holding it down tight and sort of rocking back and forth, it kind of creates a nice little highlight for you. You can sort of flick the eraser like this to sort of produce similar effects as well, okay? So that's one way to produce a highlight. You can also kind of go back into that a little bit so it's not so white with your pencil there, okay? Now, one more thing before we stop. No, sorry, I keep going into this. It's not dark enough on the one side. Is to take a piece of tissue or paper towel, like tear off a piece of it, and you want to sort of ball it up so you have a really like fine point on it like this, okay? And what I don't want you to do is sit there and just rub the whole thing, right? You want to kind of be skillful, and you're only like sort of merging like little bits at a time. And I'm not using a lot of pressure here. I'm sort of just kind of floating it in here. But just that little bit will give you a whole different effect, okay? And allowing you to sort of better blend these together, okay? Something like that. You can always go back in and add more effect with a pencil. Sort of darken up that area, okay? So that's the basics of this gradation mini lesson. It shouldn't take you that long. I'm guessing like 20 minutes to finish it. And after that, you use the same techniques and go back into your projects and add gradation there. Okay? All right, thanks.